Turner.
Mr Speaker, as the Deputy Prime Minister speaks, 56 of the 516 Crown courtrooms are not sitting. That's because he and his department caps the sitting days for those courts. It is, in my view, a dereliction of duty to be planning to do away with some jury trials when courts are not sitting. The Institute for Government have said that Sir Brian's 20%, which was pulled from thin air, is more like 2%. What on earth is this government doing? Why don't we get a grip of what's really happening in the system?
Justice Secretary.
Well, I'm grateful to my honourable friend, and he still is my honourable friend, who I know has a principal objection. But let me just say to him that it is important to recognise that Sir Brian has emphasised that we need to do all of it. We need to deal with the efficiencies, and we'll have more to say tomorrow, of course, when Sir Brian publishes, I think, part 2 of his report and looks at those issues of courtrooms and how you get prisoners and how the criminal justice system works as a whole. We are increasing the sitting days, more investment than ever before. I'm negotiating with the Lady Chief Justice. There will be more sitting days to come, but we also need reform and to ensure that we continue to support the jury system, which is what we're doing.
Nick Timothy, and welcome as Shadow Justice Secretary.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I've been reading the Labour Party manifesto, but without much luck. Can the Justice Secretary tell the House on which page appears the promise to restrict jury trials? Was it on the same page as digital IDs and all the tax rises?
Justice Secretary.
Well, can I first of all welcome the honourable member to his place and congratulate him on his recent promotion. And we will judge him, of course, on his record, and we note that he was responsible for cutting 20,000 police officers across the country. We note his hostile environment policy. He was the author of that, the Windrush tax, and, of course, that wonderful election-winning dementia tax. He will also note that our obligation, as was his obligation in government, was to ensure a fair trial. What we are bringing forward is a threshold change, very similar to the change that Margaret Thatcher brought forward in 1988.
Nick Timothy.
Not waving but drowning, Mr Speaker. 40 of his colleagues, and the number is rising, say restricting jury trials is, quote, madness. He says he won't listen to them, or to judges, lawyers, or the victims of crime. So perhaps he will listen to these esteemed voices. Jury trials, this is a quote, will always be a cornerstone of British justice. That was the Courts Minister. There must be a right of trial by jury in all criminal cases. That was the Sentencing Minister. And trials without juries are a bad idea. You don't fix the backlog with trials perceived as unfair. That was the Justice Secretary himself. If even he knows this is a bad idea, how long must we wait for the 14th U-turn from this miserable government?
Justice Secretary.
It is a bit rich raising what my colleagues are up to on the back benches when his colleagues are actually going to other benches in this House. He knows that Article 40 of the Magna Carta makes clear that justice delayed is justice denied. And that's why it's our judgment and the judgment of Sir Brian Leveson that, for example, if you've shoplifted an iPhone, you should not be entitled to elect for a jury. That should be something that could be dealt with by a magistrate or a single judge.
Speaker, it's been reported that lawyers, some of whom now sit in this House and the other place, have relied on the ECHR to support the prosecution of patriotic Brits who have fought for their country. Does the Secretary of State agree with me that this is yet another example of activist lawyers and unaccountable judges in Strasbourg shamefully pursuing veterans doing their duty? And will he, like us on these benches, commit to withdrawing from the ECHR?
Mr. Speaker, utter nonsense and completely misunderstanding how our legal system works. We on this side of the House understand that lawyers have to represent all sorts of people all the time, and we will stand by that. I would just gently say to the honourable gentleman that the Shadow Attorney General, while serving on the Tory front bench, is currently representing Roman Abramovich, a sanctioned Russian oligarch. There's no word from the other side on that issue at all.
Sir John.
Speaker, as you know, the age-old jury system connects the public to the exercise of law and therefore is the heart of popular consent for criminal justice. So in abandoning this link, is it the government are careless of the accountability that brings, or is it they're driven wholly by thoughtless expediency? Are ministers careless or thoughtless?
Justice Secretary.
I've got to say to the honourable gentleman, we are not abandoning the jury system. But as Sir Brian Leveson said in his Sunday Times article this weekend, the threshold needs to be rebalanced. I'm not sure if he was in Parliament in 1988, but when Margaret Thatcher rebalanced the threshold, moved criminal damage, moved driving a vehicle without authority towards the magistrates' court, I'm sure he didn't object to that.
Martin Vickers.
Could I return the Secretary of State to the issue of jury trials? I've received an email from a constituent who is a practising barrister who points out that the issues that have already been mentioned, poor prisoner transport, the cap on sitting days, the condition of many courtrooms. Could the Secretary of State actually focus on delivering improvements in those areas and abandon the proposals to actually limit jury trials?
Justice Secretary.
I've got to tell the honourable gentleman that he really should read Sir Brian Leveson's report. We have to do all of it. Sir Brian will be publishing the second part of his report that deals with the issues that he talks about. But if we just did that, we would not see the backlog fall in his constituency. We have to invest in more sitting days, as we are, and as I will continue to do, but we also need reform, and that's why we're bringing forward those reforms on threshold.
Jess Brown for the Liberal Democrat spokesperson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And the Justice Secretary is right to say that justice delayed is justice denied. But the Institute for Government's report into jury trials showed that the Justice Secretary's plans to erode jury trials will make very little difference to the court's backlog. So it's no surprise that there is wide-ranging opposition to the proposals from within the legal profession and across these benches. If the Deputy Prime Minister does decide to press ahead with these unpopular reforms, he stated it would not be retrospective, but the Courts Minister said it would be retrospective in the Justice Select Committee. Who is telling the truth?
Justice Secretary.
Let me just say to the honourable lady, the IFG said 10%. If this were 10% on waiting lists for a hospital in her constituency, she'd have it. They estimated a 10% contribution. Brian estimated a 20% contribution. I said we would bring forward the modelling. Of course, it is right that there is no substantive criminal liability change in the proposals that we're coming forward with, so in that sense it's not retrospective. But in terms of caseload, then of course they will be subject to the new mode of trial once this bill gets royal assent.
Lesterson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.